Good evening, and welcome to Talk of the Bay on K-Squid, KSQD Santa Cruz. I'm your host, Rachel Ann Goodman, and it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening as we have two separate topics, as we often want to do here on Thursdays. The first is looking at an amazing festival coming to our area in August and lots of goings-on in the southern part of our listening area. We'll be checking in with Steve Vagnini, who has many hats, and we'll find out which one he's wearing tonight. In the second half of the program, we'll be speaking with members of Mountain Community Theater. Theater groups are struggling throughout the world. In fact, I heard Shakespeare up in Ashland, Oregon is having trouble. Our local Jewel Theater is closing, but however, the local theater company, Mountain Community Theater, persists, and they're going to be doing a wonderful little bit of a preview of their May 19th edition of the Viewing Room. That's coming up the second half right here on K-Squid. Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Rachel?
I'm fantastic. And thanks to David Bean for putting us together. David's an old friend, and I know you've known him for years as well. He's on our board, and he's spoken so highly of you and of the West End celebration. Let's talk about that first. It's one of the bigger things that happens in our listening area, and pretty soon that will be part of our listening area. So I wanted to catch up with you and find out a little bit about the upcoming West End celebration, some of the highlights, how it got started and things like that. And then we'll talk about some other things which you're involved with, if that's all right with you.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, maybe you can introduce yourself a little better than I did. Besides being the producer of this big event, what other hats are you wearing in life these days?
Well, that's a good question. I worked for the County of Monterey for 35 years, and I recently retired. So I'm trying to figure out what hat I'm wearing. I do a lot of different things. I am going back and helping out as a consultant for the county. I have a nonprofit called Guitars Not Guns. That's a national organization. There's a chapter in Santa Cruz County. There's one in Monterey County. And I've been the director and founder of the Monterey County chapter and doing more music promotion since I've retired from my day job. And as you said, I've been promoting the West End celebration for over 20 years now. So I keep busy. I'm a grandfather, do a lot of different things.
That sounds like plenty for one person's retirement, for sure. And when you were with the county, what did you do?
I was the Monterey County assessor, clerk recorder for the last 20 years. I worked in that assessor's office for 35 years.
Okay, so you were the guy who sent the tax bills out or figured out how much the tax bills were going to be.
That's correct. The tax collector is the one that sends the bills out. The assessor comes up with evaluations and various other functions as well.
You ever get offered bribes?
There you go.
There you go. Please make my house worth less. So let's talk about the West End celebration. It's 20 years in the running. It's going on again in August. And of course, here we are just in the end of April, or not even the end. But it's never too early to start thinking about fun stuff to do. And this is free. You don't have to make a reservation. That's the best part of it, right?
It's a free art and music festival. That's correct. Absolutely free. You have to buy art. Support the artist, of course, and lots of great food and wine and beverages, but the admission is free. And I like to think it's the best free art and music festival around. There's a lot of others, but we have tremendous music lineups every year, and there's no cost to listen to the music.
How do you afford to do that? Is there a benefactor, or what's the model that allows you? Do these artists, the musicians, volunteer, or how does it work?
No, we pay all the bands. It's a city-sponsored event that is. We also get sponsors as well. Work real hard to get sponsorship money from different organizations, and the artists pay a rental space, and it's very reasonable. We have a very affordable rental for our exhibitors and food vendors, and we let all the nonprofits come in that we can bring in for free. But we end up the city ends up subsidizing the event. We'd like to turn it into a self-sufficient event, but we're not even close to that because the costs keep going up, and it's harder and harder to get sponsorship money, unfortunately.
Right. Well, I know K-Squid would love to be there. If we can get a booth, that would be super fun to
Well,
be
you are going to have a booth, and you're going to have a booth. You're going to be right by the Redwood stage, and you're going to be a very big part of the festival this year. Hasn't David told you?
He did. I'm sorry. I didn't know the details. I knew that we were going to be there, and I'm excited. I hear we're going to be like hosting that stage. So maybe we'll have Squidmore, our giant red squid, join us down there to take pictures with him. He's rather impressive, tall, red. Giant squid is our mascot.
That'll fit very well with the West End celebration.
Right by the ocean, after all. Maybe he'll escape servitude and jump back in the water. We don't know, but hopefully he'll stay with us voluntarily. We don't compel him to be our mascot. He likes it. He was actually donated to us from an artist who made him for a Halloween party. And then we got a phone call. Hey, you want a giant squid? And they're like, yeah, of course we want a giant squid. So you'll get to meet Squidmore when we come.
Fantastic. Are you familiar with the Great Morgantini?
Well, I remember the Great Morgani. Is that different?
What did you call him?
The Great Morgani, the guy who made costumes and had a...
That's who I'm thinking of. Right.
Yeah. He's also an iconic member of... He retired, he's no longer...
He did. He was there at the West End for the couple years. Then we were hoping to have him last year, and he retired. It was really sad. But that's the sort of thing we love to have. A lot of color. We have stilters and... very unusual things that help set the tone for the mood for the West End.
Very cool. Any artists, musicians that we might have heard of that are appearing as the headliners? Who's lined up that you have?
In past years, we've had a lot of them. This year, I'm not announcing the lineup until May, so I can't tell you.
Secret.
But there'll be a lot of musicians. The lineup on the stage that you'll be hosting has got a tremendous lineup. You'll be the first ones to find out when we announce in mid-May the schedule.
Yeah, I hear the Rolling Stones are coming, but that's just a rumor. I'm sure it's
No, Rolling Stones aren't coming this year.
Not this time. Maybe next year. Their final tour. Oh, boy. It sounds like a great time. How many people usually attend? What's the average attendance has been?
It's a 2-day event, so there's about 7,500 to 8,000 people per day.
Wow. And plenty of parking?
Well, parking is a challenge. We do provide a free shuttle service from Sand City Shopping Center, which is where the Costco and the Target. So there's a lot of parking there, and we have a free shuttle system that runs every 15 minutes back and forth. And there's a lot of parking in the surrounding areas. It's a little bit of a walk for people, but parking fills up pretty quickly. It's a challenge.
Bring your walking shoes.
Bring your walking shoes. Bring your bicycles. We have a free bike valet, so we encourage people to bring bicycles, ride the shuttle, leave your car behind. It's a walking friendly event for sure.
That sounds really fun. I'm looking forward to coming the first time ever. I don't know how I've missed it, but looking forward to it, and looking forward to having a booth and hosting a stage down there. And I'm sure we'll be back on the radio talking about the various lineups once it's officially announced. I'm not sure all of our listeners are aware of Sand City as a city. It's kind of a unique place, isn't it? It's got a pretty small population, but a really big tax base. Can you talk about how this happened, this incorporation of this place called Sand City, which really does earn its name if you look at the sand dunes around the area? But tell us about the legal structure that sort of created this place.
Absolutely. Sand City is a tiny little city in between Monterey and Seaside, right along the coast. And as I mentioned, there's most people that think of Sand City is where all the big box retail is. But on the other side of Sand City, which is the West End district, There's about 400 people that live in Sand City, but during the day you'll have 10, 20,000 people come to shop and work, because on the other side in the West End district, it's where all the plumbers and electricians and painters and warehouses all situated. And in the midst of all of that, you have a lot of, historically, you have a lot of art galleries. There's just a tremendous array of artists that have lived there, some of them famous, some of them not. Some of them started there and went off to bigger things. Michael Nesmith for many years people might not know this, but that's where he started doing pop clips, which was the first videos that eventually morphed into MTV. And all along, he kept a place there, a studio, which became Video Ranch. And he actually played for us a couple of years ago, just before he passed away. And it was a tremendous to finally get Mike to participate at the West End celebration. And it was always been this little artist community. So 20 years ago, a bunch of the artists got together and they contacted me and said, let's have a little festival to celebrate and help promote the artist in our West End area, Sand City. So we had at that time maybe 20 booths and a big stage, a small stage rather, with 4 bands, 5 bands. And over the year, it's just morphed and more, got bigger and bigger. And now we have about 150 exhibitor spaces, about 100 plus artists, and it's all original artists. We don't allow people to come in that buy things and sell them. It's all their art that they've created. We have about 20 nonprofits and about 15, 20 food vendors, wine, beer craft, and it's spread out in about 6 blocks, some of them long blocks throughout the city. I could have a lot more artists. I'm going to probably have to turn away a lot this year because more and more people want to participate. But we want to keep it. We don't want to grow too big. Like you said, the parking is an issue. And after COVID, we shut down for 1 year. And when we came back, I spread the booths out 6 feet apart. It used to be like 2 feet apart, but now I've spread them out 6 feet between the booths, and it gives a more wide open space. I think it gives the artists more opportunity for people to see their creations. So it's, we try to keep it small as possible because it is truly a community event. It's we don't get a lot of people from the Valley or the Bay Area. It's Monterey Peninsula, South County, Salinas, but we're getting a lot of people from Santa Cruz as well, and a lot of musicians come down from Santa Cruz over the last more and more so, because there's so much good music in Santa Cruz, and the people in Monterey want to hear them. So
right.
It's a lovely community event that anybody that comes, I get this all the time, there's just a real nice vibe to it, very peaceful. It's great. I try and book music that lends itself to that vibe, and very enjoyable. Everybody always goes away with inexpensive or medium expensive or an expensive piece of art and a great memories of the event. So it's highly encourage you to come check it out this year.
Sounds like a ton of fun. That's Steve Vagnini. He's talking with us about the West End celebration happening in August. And there's something happening sooner than that you're involved with. You do a lot of music promotion in the area, and there's something at the Forest, the Church of the Forest. Is that the name of the venue that you are part of?
It's the Forest Theater, and I heard you say, I think your second guest is talking about theater, and Forest Theater has been around downtown Carmel for over 100 years, and they put on theatrical productions, amazing theatrical productions. It's been over 100 years have been doing this. Now, PAC Rep, Stephen Moore and Julie Hewitt and their crew have took over the Forest Theater about a year and a half ago. And they have a full season in swing, which shows like Sound of Music and a lot of different great musical productions. And Stephen reached out to me and asked on the off weekends if I wanted to do some concerts. So I did 3 or 4 last year, and I'm going to be doing 6 this year. On May 20th, we're having a fundraiser for Veterans Transition Center. Through my work with West End, I've gotten to know a lot of the veterans out at the Veterans Transition Center, and we're creating a music therapy room for them, so where they can play music and as another way of dealing with all the stress, if you will, that they deal with, like so many of us. So we're doing a fundraiser with a couple bands, Red Beans and Rice, J.J. Hogg Band,
Nice.
On May 20th. And on May 21st, the day after, I've got 4 singer-songwriters playing solo, a couple that are from Santa Cruz that I book at the Dream Inn, Anthony Arrea, that a lot of people from Santa Cruz will be familiar with, and Tim Brady, who is also known as Cement Ship. He has a group called Cement Ship that's fantastic. Both of them are excellent artists. I want to expose them to the Monterey Peninsula side of the Bay. And then we have a couple local, Casey Fraser, who's performed for you at K-Squid, and another group, Two Rivers, featuring Richard Bryant, who was with the White Album Ensemble, and Kyle Kovlik. So, just like the music at the West End Celebration, the music at the Forest Theater is original music, people that I like promoting original acts, because bands that play, cover bands get to play all the time, and it's creating a venue for original artists. And that's what the Forest Theater is all about. And in July, which I can't announce yet, I've got something really exciting too, so it's a lot of fun. And, it's hard to get original music out there. And that's sort of my whole thing.
Well, I commend you for it as someone who writes and performs. It's true. It's not the easiest thing to say, hey, listen to this new artist you've never heard, and they have a lot to say, So I commend you for centering these great songwriters. It's a blessing to have a place to play where people really listen, instead of a bar where people are talking and making noise and eating. Having a listening space like that is very highly prized. So it's great you're bringing that alive and bringing these acts to the public. And let us know here at K-Squid what we can do to publicize once we go on the air in what looks like late June at this point. Couple months away, we will be reaching audiences much further afield than Santa Cruz County. So we welcome the opportunity to announce these concerts, as we do concerts wherever we get announcements. So thank you, Steve Vagnini, for doing these, and let us know how we can spread the word. I do want to spend a little bit of time that we have left. You mentioned a couple other things you do, and one of those is you are one of the founders of the local chapter in Monterey County of Guitars Not Guns. And for those people not familiar with their mission, just the name says a lot. But can you elaborate on why Not Guns is part of the Guitars title of the organization and what you do?
Well, the founders of Guitars Not Guns, they were foster parents in Sand City, Ray and Louise Nelson. And they noticed when Ray was a musician, when he played the guitar, the kids would just respond very well. And so it was, primarily to help children at risk youth that are, in Monterey County. I'm not somewhat in Santa Cruz County and a lot of the places where we have chapters. We have problems with gang violence, where there's a propensity to use guns. So, it's not necessarily that we're taking an anti-gun stance, but, our feel is that a child is much better off if they are playing an instrument than hanging out in the streets where they will possibly lured to a bad lifestyle. So we created this program, a lot of children, especially at risk, that come from families where both parents are working, don't necessarily have the opportunity to, or they've never played an instrument, never had exposure to an instrument. So we provide free guitar lessons to children at no cost. We give them the guitars. It's all volunteer organization that just tries to help children. And just as important as trying to teach them or teaching them to play guitar is children love the idea that people want to spend time with them. And I can't tell you how many times more than, well, thank you for the guitar. It's like, thank you for spending time with me. And so that's what we're all about. And, interestingly enough, we started the Monterey County chapter in 2010. It's been 13 years ago when I went to hear the White Album Ensemble play a benefit concert for the Santa Cruz chapter. So we started real small. We started our first class, and during the last 13 years, we've given free guitar lessons and guitars to over 2,500 children in Monterey County. So we've become very active, and I just helped start a chapter in San Benito, and I'm working on other chapters throughout the country. So it's a passion of my mind, and I believe, kids need something to do, whether it's sports or working with cars, but I think music is a great alternative, and because I've been fortunate to know a lot of musicians and be involved with music production, I just had the opportunity to share that with the children of our community. But it all comes down to volunteers.
Are you also a musician yourself?
I'm not. That's the ironic thing. I keep telling myself I'm going to learn how to play guitar. When I was younger, I sang in rock bands, but I never played an instrument other than some percussion things, and I wanted to be, but it never turned out that way. So I'm a patron of the arts, if you will.
Well, someone's got to be in the audience. We can't all be up there, but I'm so happy to hear what you're doing with kids, because we recently had, I think it was just last week or the week before that, the head of Be Natural Music, who does similar things here, where he runs teenage bands, and they get up there and they come out of their shells and they find a passion and that they love, whether it's drums or guitars or any of these instruments they teach. And it's transformational for these kids to have a passion, to have a place to go, to be with other kids. So this program sounds wonderful. If people want to learn more or maybe donate or get involved or donate a guitar, how would they reach these various chapters? And is there one in Santa Cruz that you know?
There is one in Santa Cruz. Things shut down during COVID, but they are going to be starting up their first class in a couple of years pretty soon. Matt Cole and Michael Smith, a couple guitarists up in Santa Cruz, or the directors up in the Santa Cruz, and I know they're ramping up. There is a national website, guitarsnotguns.org. That you can get more information and send emails to request additional information. The Monterey County chapter, as well as other chapters, have Facebook pages that you can instant message us through that medium. So he's pretty easy to find. If you Google Guitars Not Guns, you can find us. And there's fortunately, I'm all of a sudden I'm getting all sorts of volunteer instructors that are coming forward. So there's a big need for it. You can't watch the news anymore these days without a senseless, horrific shootings going on throughout the country. And people, when they see that, want to do something, and they come out and say, I want to help. And that's great, but you have to follow through. If you want to help, you have to follow through. You can't just have that desire to do something. You have to follow through. So if people want to do something, follow through and do something, because there's a tremendous need you just help one child. You're talking about children's band. We've got 3 bands that are playing around our town right now, teenagers, young adults that started out with Guitars Not Guns program. And because of, I think, part of it because of our program that led them in a path where they became creative individuals rather than doing something else.
What a gift. What a gift to those kids. That's wonderful to hear. In our final few minutes, maybe this is the last question we'll have time for, but I'm curious to hear your ideas. And of course, we'll have a longer conversation about this as we do these listening sessions throughout Monterey County. is there one or two things you would like to see K-Squid do when it comes to Monterey County, which will be in June?
Well, first of all, I'm just so happy that you're coming down to Monterey County because, many, many years ago when I first knew David, I was involved with KZU, and I've had many, many, many friends, musicians that, Mike Ekstrom, I'm sure you know him, and Gil Rubio, and Sherman Davis, they were all DJs on KZU and KKUP and KUSP. And when we lost these stations, we lost something very important. If you're promoting music, the best way to promote it is through the radio because people listen to the radio to listen to music. So help local music, help musicians, and what you're doing too to get the news out. But a balance, and when KZU was purchased, it became pretty much all news and left the music behind. And I understand the absolute importance to get ideas out there and discussions amongst people that, deliver the news, deliver the promote the music, everything you can do to be community oriented because, what we need now more than ever is to build communities. And that's what, going back to the West End celebration, it's a community event. And because of all the challenges that we face today, with all the myriad things that we have to deal with, community has to come first, and we come together as a community, and we're all so much better for it.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself, Steve. Thank you so much for being our guest, and we hope to talk to you again soon. Steve Vagnini, Guitars Not Guns, West End Celebration, and many other hats. Thank you for being a guest here on Talk of the Bay on K-Squid. I really appreciate you.
Great. Thank you, Rachel, and welcome to Monterey County.
Thank you. We're excited. All right.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Steve Vagnini, resident of Monterey County, of which we will soon be reaching very well with K-Squid, and we're very excited about that opportunity. Here's an opportunity right now to support K-Squid and get rid of that old clunker.